Welcome to Tenacious Entrepreneurs, where perseverance meets purpose and every setback is just another step forward. Join us as we dive into the journeys of entrepreneurs who faced failures, embraced change, and emerged stronger than ever. Whether you're dreaming big or already on your way, this podcast is here to remind you that the end is only the beginning. Stay inspired, stay tenacious, and let's conquer the entrepreneurial world together.
Hey, this is Joey Dupont. Welcome you back to the Tenacious Entrepreneur podcast. We have a special treat today. Aaron Clark is here with us. Aaron's a motivational coach, but he also is a minister. He has faith, family, and finance sort of going in the whole lineage of what he does. Aaron, I want to thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today.
Hey, my pleasure, and I appreciate you inviting me on, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself. I sort of highlighted on it, but what are you doing? What's your business?
Yeah, so the business that I'm working on growing right now, I call the Coach A. Clark Company. So where that comes from is I like to tell everybody I am a recovering football coach. And say recovering because once it's in your system, it's never out. So I'm either your favorite or least favorite guy to watch football with because I totally understand everything that's happening with all 22 people on the field right now, and it bugs me when I see something wrong. So either your favorite or least. But what we do with the Coach A. Clark Company is I'm looking to build leaders and help people to grow themselves personally. Okay. So I don't believe in professional development. I believe it's all personal development that you use on the job. And so that started when I was coaching high school ball. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing at first. But then once I caught on that, hey, my whole mission and purpose is to help these young men and women become great men and women, which means being great leaders. Right. And then going out and affecting the community.
Most people don't get it, but the coaches in football, baseball, track, whatever, they're the ones that actually form the athletes. Yeah. It's not as much about the school that they're in and the curriculums that they're in. It's about the coaches that are demanding integrity out of them and saying, hey, you can't play this year, this week because you didn't get this grade or whatever.
Exactly.
They've never been held accountable by, maybe their parents.
It's not about the X's and O's. It's not. That most of the time, the guy who knows the most X's and O's isn't always the best coach and helper of developing men and women what they need to be. And that's what it's about.
Well, let's go back all the way back. How old are you now?
I'm 38.
Okay. So let's go back to your graduating high school. At what point did you decide, hey, I think I want to be an entrepreneur?
Well, that started. We'll go back further.
Okay, go back further. Yeah, that's fine.
So I got born into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And 1972, my grandfather purchased Delta College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So a single location and trade school, proprietary school. So we help people get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. No gen eds, none of that math, science, social studies.
So Delta College is a college that teaches, it's like a technical college?
Yeah, it's a technical college. So vocational school, trade school. We focus on nurses, practical nursing, medical assistant, medical office with billing and coding, dental assistant. We've got massage therapy. We do offer an associate in graphic design, and then we have a cosmetology school as well. Okay.
So it sounds like it's mostly in the service industry for for the nurses and stuff of that nature.
Yes.
So you were born into this, your grandfather.
Oh yeah.
Was an entrepreneur. But at what point did you actually say, hey, I think I'm going to be an entrepreneur? Because honestly, I can tell you I've got 5 kids. Of my 5 kids, 2 of them are entrepreneurs. 3 of them absolutely are not. And the 2 of them that are boys. The girls are just I'm not going to be an entrepreneur. I'm just going to work for somebody. So I'm saying it's not just because you're born in it.
Yeah.
Something had to be that aha moment where you're just I think this is me.
And so we used to own and operate Harley-Davidson New Orleans, so I got to experience a lot of that. Being leadership in anything like that has been something that I've always done. So I knew my goal was when I was going to college that I'd go and graduate, and I was going to come help run
What'd you
Harley.
go to college for?
I originally started off as sports management.
Okay.
I was wanted to be a football coach. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Right.
And then once I got and was coaching, that sadly enough, coaches don't get paid enough money.
Yeah.
We work summer jobs and we do all sorts of other stuff. And so it was probably 2014, 2015 when I got into network marketing. I started doing a lot of that. I had some real success, so I got a taste of it then. And then what really got me out of the high school coaching was my youngest son. My youngest son said he wanted to race motocross, and I knew I couldn't coach football and race motocross at the same time. After I started looking into it, what all it did, what it took, and so I started doing hot shot. So I started AC driving and started a hot shot company and was doing that. And it was during that time that it came back that I went and got certified through the John Maxwell team. And so for those that don't know who John Maxwell is, he is the leadership guru around the world, like world-renowned, top dog. And when I saw that John offered a certification and a training to go into where I could be a speaker and a trainer and a coach to help develop leaders and help people to grow personally, I knew that was the next move. And so I started that, went back and talked. My family still owns and operates Delta College, so I went back to them to offer some free services, just to get my foot in the door and get myself out there. And when I showed up for the interview, they're like, "We want you to come be our corporate director of admissions."
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I know nothing about admissions. And they're like, "It's just sales." And I said, "All right." But I still know nothing about admissions.
You're a recruiter.
Yeah.
You just happen to be recruiting no longer for football.
Right.
You're recruiting for people to come to work and go to school.
Yes. Yes. And so that's how it really started when I came back into that. And so
that was like 5 years ago.
2021 I started working with Delta again. But so, I would say I really started the entrepreneur journey. Well, I forgot 2011, me and my dad started our own motorcycle promotions company called the Great Southern Rally.
So I want to dig back down there a little bit. Like, okay, your family owned Harley Davidson of New Orleans, and at some point, your grandfather opened up the Delta College, and your dad had a Harley Davidson in New Orleans. Is that what?
Yes. So Granddad actually had that. Granddad, smart guy. He was always talking about whatever you do, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to diversify. If you want to be wealthy and not worry about what somebody else does, you've got to diversify.
Right.
And so once he finally started making it, he said, "I've always wanted to own a Harley Davidson dealership." And so in 1986, that he met with a guy right here in New Orleans at the Holiday Inn, met in the lobby, and they made a contract to sell Harley Davidson New Orleans to my grandfather on a napkin.
On a napkin.
On a napkin. Can't do that today, but you could do that in 1986.
Yeah. I've a lot of my best deals have been done on a napkin, man. But I get it. So he was already had Delta College, and he picked up Harley Davidson.
Yes.
And so it sounds like he became a little bit of a serial entrepreneur, wanting to start multiple things.
Yeah, he owned Big River Kawasaki in Baton Rouge. He owned Sea-Doo at one point. He had done so many different things that he liked it. He enjoyed it. And I think that's what I find so intriguing about it is
your grandfather still alive, or?
No, he's been gone now for a little over, or right, it'll be a year in June.
Okay. So it's not that long ago.
So depending on when this releases.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
Just right at a year.
Yeah, that's that's got to be. It sounded like he was sort of like the patriarch of the family.
He was.
He was the leader.
He was the leader.
There was a big gaping hole whenever he left.
It was.
Did you guys still have the Harley Davidson of New Orleans, or?
No. So we sold Harley of New Orleans right after Katrina.
Okay. Wasn't much to sell. I guess.
The Lord blessed us. neither of the locations were damaged.
Oh, really?
They had very little roof damage. No water got into either of our buildings.
Okay.
That just crazy how just good God is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's insane.
Right.
So he sold it right after then, and did you think about buying it, or were you just like, no? At that point when he sold it, like you weren't in the.
At that point, I was in college. I didn't.
Yeah, you were young.
Yeah, I was playing football up at Belhaven University, so I was like, yeah, cool if that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought nothing of it.
Yeah, so
18-year-old doesn't have those type of worries, right?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It was definitely like my dad. I remember we had an RV dealership when I was growing up, and my dad offered to turn it over to me, and I was 18, and I said, "Well, Dad, I'm going to go to Bible college. I want to be a youth pastor and do youth work and stuff." And he said, "Okay, well, if that's what you really want, like I'll support you." And he supported me. He ended up selling it out to another partner, and they closed it down, and he got out of it. And he actually went in after 30 plus years of being in the RV business. He went and became a cameraman at Jimmy Swaggart Ministries and did camera work. And I remember 2 years later, I started my first RV dealership. And I remember he was like, "What? Like, why didn't you just take mine? Like, I've been running it for 25 years. You could have just taken mine over." But it's so weird. Like I didn't think that I was going to be an RV guy, so I just started my own. So at 18, you don't think, you think you have everything figured out.
I was gonna say, you said it right. At 18, you don't think.
Yeah. You don't have
pausing point.
Yeah, right pausing point. You don't have a lot of like long-term linear thinking. It's
no.
I imagine you deal with that too, like in admissions. I mean, you're taking kids out of high school. Is that where a lot of
now most of our average student is 24.
Okay, so you got a little bit more age to them. They actually know what they want to do.
But not really. I mean, the cool thing about it is I've always enjoyed helping people. So whatever I do, I like to help people. Whether it's helping you become a better football player, whether it's helping you become a better person, I just like helping people.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Most of the time, most of our students that come to us, they've tried the community college and failed. They've tried the university and failed. They've tried the local college and failed. It's not uncommon for our average student to have anywhere from 4 to 5 different colleges on their resume before they show up at our door. So
that's definitely a separator for you as far as being able to help them get to the end of it.
Yes.
And pursue it. I know I've got a family that's went into being LPN, then they became an RN, and then they became a whatever the thing is beyond RN, but practitioner or whatever.
Get their MSN and then go be a nurse practitioner.
Yeah, nurse practitioner, and I finally was like, well, why didn't you just become a doctor? I mean, like you've done everything up to that point. You almost could become a doctor, whenever you. So do you guys? Do y'all have like full-blown medical training for like becoming a doctor there, or is that?
We do not. Right now, the highest we have is practical nursing.
Okay. But that's pretty high. I mean, that's like right below a doctor. I mean, the only difference is they don't get sued.
Well, I mean,
when the patient dies.
So most people are familiar with the term LPN. The accrediting body doesn't allow us to call our program the licensed practical nursing program. It's just practical nursing. The state has to license you. So it's LPN, RN, and then the nurse practitioner.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just started in doing that for the last 5 years, sort of dabbled into that, or you're running that. And how are you being able to kick off the coaching? Is that really working well? Like, does John Maxwell send you leads, or like how does that work?
No, so they just give you the training. It's just like any other certification that you go through.
It's like Delta College. They don't give you the job.
Now, Delta will help you find a job.
Okay, well, maybe we need to talk about that then.
But, Delta will definitely help. That's one thing that I love that we do is it doesn't matter if you graduated in 1971 when the school started, or if you're graduating next year. And when you graduate, if you need help finding a job, if you're one of our alumni, we will help you find a job. The crazy thing is, though, Joey, is when they graduate from Delta College, we're so well known in the community. People see, oh, Delta College, yeah, you're hired.
Right. Right, because they know that
they know the quality of work.
The quality of work, and they know that you've got it figured out. But so, how do you develop a coaching, platform while trying to run, the Delta College, for not running it, but doing the the people bringing them in.
It's tough. It's very tough. And it's slowly, it's piece by piece. It's as I come across people and have started networking and getting to grow around and be around more like-minded people. I was grateful that I got Scott invited me to the Christian Businessman Luncheon.
Yeah.
Because I'd been looking for something like that anyways to be a part of. Because one thing in leadership is, I don't know if you know this, but you don't always have good days as the person in charge. And I can't go down and say, hey, let me tell you down here about my bad day.
Right.
Because they don't care.
Yeah.
But you can't do that as the leader. But finding that other group of men who have the same outlook on life, it was huge for me, because I can call you up, or I can call Scott up and go, dude, today has not been good.
Yeah.
And y'all aren't going, well, let me tell you about my bad. It's like, yeah, he just needs somebody to blow off some steam to. We get it. We've been there.
Yeah, it definitely is the thing I find is that entrepreneurs in general we don't really open up to a lot of people, mainly because, when we open up, it's like Lord of the Flies. We get pounced on, and everybody tries to kill us. So we can't show a weakness of any kind without having to worry about the pack of dogs getting us. But but finding a place where you can actually talk to people and be open and share is good. We've transitioned it over to the weekly Bible studies with CBMC, and that mission that they had, that's really what prompted me, was to move it into their structure. Was they have the mindset of every man a missionary, every man a Timothy, every man a Paul, teaching you the practical steps of how to grow somebody. I feel like that I grew up in church where thank God I was mentored and had a lot of great people that mentored me, and coached me, with it was a lot harder than you would think. I was a pretty hard-headed kid, but I had a lot of people mentor me and coach me, and the thing I can say is that most of the time I see people that are struggling, they haven't figured out how to do that. They don't know how to connect with somebody that can actually grow them and challenge them. They get rah-rah coaches that are just saying, hey, you're doing great, everything's going wonderful. It reminds me of the guy that was a boxer that was in the boxing ring, and his coach kept coming to the corner, and the guy was beating the snot out of him. He could barely see out of his eyes, and he said, dude, you're doing great. He hadn't laid a glove on you. You're doing great. And about the third time in, back to the bench, he said the same thing. You're doing great. He hasn't laid a glove on you. The boxer put the thing down and said, hey, coach, watch that referee, because somebody's beating the hell out of me in there.
Right?
if he ain't touching me, then
then who is?
Somebody's beating the soap out of me. So I think that's the thing, for entrepreneurs, man, is get around somebody that can actually coach you, that can challenge you, and I think that's hard to find.
And it is. And what's hard about it is that as somebody who's coaching other young men and women in their leadership roles as they grow, and then having somebody that I am also getting coached by.
Right.
You have to. Every good and successful player. I mean, Michael Jordan had his own coaches.
Yeah. Hey, Tiger Woods has his own coach.
Yeah. You've got to have a coach. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart.
Right.
Because there's somebody who's going, oh, no, it's just right there. You missed it.
Yeah. I know the guy that coaches me, I think David Green, is that the guy that has Hobby Lobby?
Okay.
Hobby Lobby guy. He invited me a couple of weeks for us to go on a one-on-one with him, going to sit down at his event or whatever he does at his facility. But I would never have that access had I not been coached.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have had access to other people. He's being coached by this guy, and he's like, hey, I'll bring you in and you can come and sit underneath him for a little bit. But you think about it, guy that owns Hobby Lobby. I mean, he's pretty much, not somebody I would come in contact with, but because I'm being coached, my coach is bringing me in and saying, hey, let me introduce you to this guy. So I think that's valuable, man, is like being able to build your sphere of influence, but looking to be coached, and then being able to allow other people to have access to that.
Yeah. And I mean, that was kind of why I started my podcast, the Clark Connection podcast, was with the purpose of that not everybody can afford a coach.
Right.
Now, I'll tell everybody that asks whenever I mention, hey, this is what it's going to cost to do whatever, and they're like, oh, that's expensive. And I'm like, well, how much more expensive is it to be ignorant to the facts instead of having somebody here whose job is to say, hey, Joey, you need to try this. And then magically it works.
Right.
It's just an extra set of eyes, somebody who's on the outside. They're looking at it with no other point than to make you successful. And so,
yeah, I think that's the key. Is like you have to have somebody that I think you put into your life that doesn't have anything to gain from telling you yes or from telling you no. Like, in other words, they're not like going to be a business partner with you in your next venture. So therefore, they're trying to tell you what you want to hear. You need somebody that can give you the tough questions.
It's got to, like, if I was investing, like, not that what you want to hear, if me and you were partners, well, I might be telling you what's going to be in my best interest versus our best interest.
Right.
And so, I mean, one of the guys that I work with and coach, I've been telling him for about 6 months now, you need to find an office manager. He's been doing it. He does a great job. I was like, here's the things that you aren't good at. You need to find somebody that can do these things. No, I don't need to do it. We're struggling a little bit right now. I don't need to do it. We're struggling right now. And well, they went and did it. And he was like, wow, we're doing great. And it's like, I told you. I mean, it's not like I was getting anything extra if you got it or not getting anything extra. I mean, it was nothing to me.
I think Pastor Larry said, he used to always tell us the acronyms. He said, you're looking for fat people, faithful, available, and teachable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I was using that at a sales meeting for all my sales guys, and we were on a virtual call, and one of my guys that was a regional for 228 in the Biloxi area, he also owned Anytime Fitness. And so whenever I said that, when I said that, somebody was walking past his door and heard me say, you're looking for fat people, faithful, available, and teachable. Well, they just heard the fat people part. Yeah. They blew him up on social media. Dude, he was on corporate call, and they said you're looking for fat people. Like, yeah, maybe we need to figure out where we put that acronym at. Like, don't use that everywhere. But finding that available person, I find like it's so frustrating because I coach as well. Like, and I find like whenever I use things as barometers, like if I'm going to coach somebody, because most of my coaching I'm doing out of, they're part of my association or whatever, but it's not like a direct coaching where they're paying me. So I'm doing it for free. But the thing I do is I give them a tough thing to do. And if they don't do that, I just don't coach them again. Because if they can't do the tough stuff, like the hard stuff, they've got to be able to go out and do it. And so that's what I would challenge, like, for somebody that's like listening, is like, hey, if you're looking to be coached, just realize that you have to be coachable.
Very true.
I mean, in football, like, I mean, how many times you come to a student and you're like, hey, when you get off the ball, you need to be able to put your arms up and hit them on the chest. And they're like, well, this is the way I've always done it. That guy is like, just go sit down on the bench.
No. Yeah, that's a very good point too. Is you have to be coachable, and you do. I mean, you'll learn with anything in any business adventure. You go figure out who is a good person to work with and who's not a good person to work with.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that the person that's not a good person for me to work with is a bad person. We just didn't connect on that level.
Right.
And so, like,
I think finding the ability to be able to be coachable is a thing I would say, like, for people. It's like, hey, if you're wanting to get out there and have somebody to mentor you or to coach you, they're going to tell you simple things. And when they tell you that simple thing, go do the simple things. If they tell you, hey, I need you to get in there and read From Good to Great and come back and talk to me about it, and 6 months later you haven't read it, like how are you going to? I have one book I require everybody that I have that works for me to read. It's called Raving Fans. I don't know if you ever read that book.
I have not, but I'm going to add it to my list.
It's a great book. I call it my toilet back read. It's one of those little bitty books that is a story. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting story, but it meets the culture of what we're doing. But that's what I'm saying. It's like when I give that book to one of my guys and say, "Hey, read this," and they don't read it, they usually probably won't be working for me very long because they don't get the culture of what we're doing. We're trying to to build people into an excellent version of themselves. But anyway, I think that's the key probably is telling people like, hey, you need to figure out like how to be coachable, how to get to the point where you can actually receive from somebody. But the question I got for you is like, what is your biggest failure that you'd say like that you had to pivot from? Did you have any? Have you had any? I mean, your grandfather owned a company, so you didn't have a lot of challenges to.
Yeah, I was about to say as far as setting that up, but I mean, recently, man, it's been quite a battle in the proprietary industry as far as like our schools that So one that recently happened is we got a new SIS, Student Information System. This is where we put all the students into. This is how we process and package their financial aid and
the grades.
Everything is in this. Well, when we put it in there, it didn't work right. So you're not getting your financial aid. And on top of that, I had two of my two financial aid people at our Baton Rouge location quit. Then had another one at another location was like, you know what? We don't like this. We're going to retire. We're close enough. And I mean, it just kind of like domino effects, and you're trying to hold stuff together without
the
people.
Glue. Yeah.
And so also, on top of that, so I'm dealing with angry students because some of them, like, hey, where's my aid? Where's this? And it's like, yeah, we're not exactly happy either because we're not getting paid. So it's not like we're not charging you, but we're not getting paid either.
Right.
So that's been a huge one. And so just trying to build and grow that team back to where, and they're getting there. But it was a dark from March of 2024 to it's just kind of starting to get okay in May of 2025. It's been a dark, tough time where you're working 60, 70 hours a week trying to make sure that you're doing right by your students and you're doing right by the people that work for you. I mean,
so do you guys have like a CEO of Delta College now, and your grandfather passed it on to someone else?
Yes. So my uncle is the president, CEO of the company. And then my dad and my other uncle, they are his number twos. And then the rest, the third generation is kind of that next barrier down in the corporate board.
So, I mean, where do you see yourself in 5 years, from now? Like, what's your goal?
5 years from now, I want to work myself out of a job. And I'm getting there. My directors of admissions are doing a phenomenal job. I've got some that I'm working on that are like, all right, we got to get you going back the right way. But 5 years from now, I want to be like, oh, nobody from any campus has called me this week. Wonder what's going on. Let me check in and see what's going on. That type deal. Not because
not a firefighter.
Yeah, I don't
always putting the fire out.
Yeah, and so that's where the leadership and development and training comes from.
Right.
It's because that was how whenever I started having my successful teams as a coach, the players didn't need me. I would just, hey, y'all know what the stretches are? I mean, they would do all the warm up and everything without me. By the time I got there, we were straight into the main thing.
Right.
I mean, I had one game where I showed up to when I was coaching bowling at East Ascension, and the captain met me and she said, "Coach, we don't need you. Go sit over there." Okay. And I just went and sat down. And I was like, that means she's got it. I'm going to let you ride on this one, sweetheart. And did a phenomenal job. She's now the coach for the East Ascension's bowling team.
Wow.
Excellent person. Love that young lady.
Yeah. So fast forward like 10 years from now, where do you see like a different pattern or a different path for your life?
Yeah.
Or?
So 10 years from now, I want to be doing more of the Coach A. Clark stuff. I really enjoy that, doing small group trainings and speaking at events. I really enjoy doing that. That was one that John Maxwell talks about often. Find something, not John Maxwell, Zig Ziglar, find something that you would do for free, get so good at it, they pay you to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the key, man. The last guy that we had on the podcast, he wrote a book talking about the seven great things that you need to accomplish, and one of the things that he drilled down was he was talking about that there's 7 different areas of an entrepreneur's life that they need to get excellent at, to where they're actually able to be a 7 or 8 out of 10 at them. Mm-hmm. And what I find is that most of the time, that coaching was one of them, being personal growth. But I find that like people that say they don't have time for personal growth are generally watching 18 to 20 hours a week out of Netflix.
Yeah, I was about to say they're
scrolling their phone. Their phone time is that. So it's like how bad you want it.
Yeah. And that was kind of what ended up getting me into that. I did a little TikTok video, because my youngest son races motocross and my oldest one was playing golf. So we spent a lot of time
on the road.
There was, because the crazy thing is not everywhere has a motocross track. Like, it's not like baseball or whatnot. I don't get the travel baseball, travel basketball. Like, there's plenty of great people in your town. Why aren't y'all just playing there instead of traveling to Tennessee to go play teams from where you're from? Like, just stay there. Like, that not to as a coach, that drove me insane. I saw too many kids burnt out. I digress. But I would talk with them. Like, we would listen to, we were listening to Les Brown's speeches. We were listening to audiobooks, and I was talking with them about stuff. And they were like, well, why don't you just go ahead and start putting some videos out? Now, other people would like to hear what you're teaching us. It would be cool. And so that was the very first one I did was, how bad do you want to win? Like, do you want to win, or do you like the idea of winning? And most people like the idea of winning. They like the idea of being successful. They want to say, man, I want to be where Joe, I'm just so jealous. Joey's got it all together. But they didn't see Joey not sleep for 3 weeks.
Right.
Because he was worried, that check still hadn't come in to pay the bill, or that he went and did this favor for somebody and, man, that didn't pan out. And they didn't see that you missed your electric bill one month. And so you sent them the water bill, so they would, with the water bill check, so they would be like, oh, well, he sent it to the wrong place, and give you a little bit of time to. I did have one of my mentors tell me that was how they got through. They would send the wrong bills to the wrong places.
Oh yeah,
they'd buy themselves some time.
They'd buy you a little bit of time.
But yeah, it's the struggle. It's not, and you got to be. It was in Atomic Habits. James Clear talks about that. Is how good are you at being bored? How good are you at taking the mundane thing and doing it over and over and over and over and over?
Yeah. I found that the people that don't want to do the hard stuff, they feel like that, becoming an entrepreneur is like their ticket to freedom, and being, successful means they don't have to do anything hard.
It's your ticket to work more.
It's your ticket to work more. I remember I was driving a 40-foot gooseneck, pulling behind my truck, and I was coming over a mountain in Tennessee, and I was coming down the mountain. I was getting firewood. It was during cold season. It was snowing outside where I was at. I was picking up hickory. That's why I was all the way in Tennessee. And I came over the mountain, and I was going down the cliff, and there was a guy at the bottom of the cliff that had spun out in an old hoopty car and turned sideways. Well, this is state highways, but they're all gravel in Tennessee, and like that's not a lot of paved highways there. But I remember, like, I slammed on my brakes and I slid what seemed like 3 football fields down the mountain, and finally stopped where they were about as far as me from you. I couldn't see his head over my hood. That's how close he was to me. And I was like, I got out. I was like, dude, you almost died. Like, you don't know. Like, I couldn't go to the left because I'd go off the mountain. I couldn't go to the right because I'd go off the mountain. My choice was hit you or hit your car, and I was aiming for your car, and you kept getting in front of it. And I was like, I was about to kill you. And anyway, that guy, I ended up, oh, can you help me pull me out? I pulled him out and got going. So I'm getting on the road. I'm going back to Baton Rouge, and I was in Jackson area. Somebody pulled up beside me and started waving. Well, it wasn't uncommon because I have 40-foot trailer full of firewood, and people were looking for firewood because it was snowing. So I was like, hey, how you doing? I didn't realize 2 of my wheels had come off. When I was jammed my brakes, the lugs had sheared off of one side of the trailer. They'd sheared off all of both axles, which was all 4 tires on one side of the trailer. And all my tires were gone, and all of a sudden it drops, and I'm dragging, making ruts in the interstate going to the side of the road. I remember getting out on the side of the road and thinking, man, I'm an entrepreneur. But there wasn't nobody coming to get me. Like, I had to figure out how to jack the thing up and go, to the store and get a new axles and everything I had to do, like, on the side of the road. But I thought while I was doing it, it's like the guys that think entrepreneurialism is easy would probably just unhook the trailer and leave. Like, they'd be like, well, this is too hard. Is do the hard stuff. Do the hard stuff. Like, be willing to get out there at 3 o'clock in the morning and scrape the ice off the front of your car, truck, so you can go to a service call if you're a plumber. Don't just tell them, well, it's frozen outside. I can't go. It's freezing cold. No, you're a plumber. Get up, go fix the pipes.
Right.
But the work ethic is just gone. Like, entrepreneurs, I felt like, are following a path of least resistance. And I think that's where they run into trouble,
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I loved about coaching football and all the other sports is I could tell based off of, like you said, doing the hard stuff. And it wasn't necessarily the hard stuff, but it's the easy, the simple. If you aren't willing to do the small things right, well, you're not going to be given the big stuff. I mean, it's biblical. I mean, that Jesus talks about in the parable of talents.
Right.
That's one I always loved. That was one that I talked about in all of my team meetings. Is I would go through that and say, guys, it doesn't matter if you've got 5 talents, if you're the 5-star recruit, or you're the 1-star over here that nobody's looking at. You be the best 1-star, you be the best 5-star. Turn that 1 into 2, turn that 5 into 10. And that's how we're going to be successful, because ultimately, 5% or less people go on to play college athletics.
Right. And out of that, only 1% of them become
1% of that
NFL.
100. So you're talking like 0.01% of all high school athletes are going to go on to go play professional sports.
Yeah, professional sports. We get spoiled in Louisiana because 2/3 of our team goes to professional sports. I'm a big LSU fan, but it's hard to believe that 2/3 of our players. I remember whenever Burrow. Like the entire team.
Yeah, it was like, that 2019 team? Yeah. NFL,
like all of them, every one of them, dude. It's like watching an LSU game when you're watching the NFL play nowadays. But yeah, so it's tough, man, finding the people that would be willing to do the hard stuff. I would think that probably, like, for you, what would be one thing that you would tell somebody that's struggling? Maybe they've lost a business, or they've lost a job, or they don't know what's next. Like, what would be the one thing you would tell somebody like that, like, would be the way that you get past it?
So I always look at, what are you reading? That's the first thing I want to know whenever I go to coach or train with somebody, is what are you reading? Like, and I count all sorts, like, how are you working on yourself? Because if you're not working on yourself, how are you going to get better? So that's one of the first things I want to know is, what are you reading? And I'm always going to recommend, A, start with the Bible. But then B, I always tell them to start with either How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, or How Successful People Lead by John Maxwell, which is his condensed version of the 5 levels of leadership.
Yeah. I remember he had the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. I read that.
Excellent book.
Yeah.
Excellent book. That was one of the first ones of his I read.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, that one was a tough one, but I'd already been working at that point. But I tell everybody there's 7 keys to growing yourself personally. And I tell them reading's number 1. And number 2, I always tell them is exercise. Because reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that, what are you doing? Follow it with meditation. And so I've been really listening to Craig is his first name, but the book is Winning the War in Your Mind.
Yeah.
And he talks about meditation being they've taken what it really meant in the Hebrew form. We think of it as like, all right, get here, silence, clear your mind. But it's really talking about God's way of it is to get into God's word and then chew on, constantly be focusing on that word. And so really getting into and focusing, what would God have me do? What are you trying to teach? So for me, meditation is prayer. And then affirmations is one. I mean, how you talk to yourself is so important. And I wish I'd have brought it. I'd read it here because I have mine that I created, and that's when I start working with all of my people is we're going to make a custom affirmation for you.
So define that for me, like so custom affirmation.
So an affirmation, so like mine starts off, and you would think I would memorize it because it's the same one I've been reading for years and years and years, but I don't memorize stuff if I can just read it. But it starts off, I am a fun, that caring, that passionate husband and father.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, say, let's take somebody through it that's trying to, right now they're watching the show, and they're like, how do I build myself in affirmations?
And so
you're looking for things you're good at, or things you want to be good at, or what?
Who are you? Like, what are your positive attributes? Talk to your friends, your family, and then who do you see yourself being? And so one that hit me because that I just start, like, I'm working on a book. And that was one that I talked about, and it was your affirmations. And I wrote it in there. And one of the things that I have is I lead many to overcome their fears and become the people they want. And at the time, I wasn't doing that necessarily, even though, I was coaching, but I didn't feel it. I didn't believe it. And so, but I said, I want to be that guy that's leading many to be their best version of themselves. And so I started talking to it. And as I kind of started looking at just now, I was like, wow, I'm doing that.
Right.
But in 2016, I didn't believe it. And so it's focusing and talking into existence, because ultimately the mind doesn't care if it's real or if it's fake, if it's made up, or that's why you can say, I felt like, the way Joey's looking at me right now, he's telling me I'm an idiot.
Right.
And I'll go home and I'm going to go tell my wife, and I'm going to go tell everybody else, and I'm going to go pout about it because Joey looked at me funny and he was thinking in it. And you never said that. The mind doesn't know any different. So if I tell myself that you're a passionate person, your steps are ordained, that God has a purpose for you, it's going to come true. It's going to put a better outlook on the day. And then it helps when you get into that situation where I've got the student who's upset because this teacher did that to me. Well, now I'm there, and I know, hey, I'm a person who handles stuff with passion, and I'm going to look at both sides.
So step one would be to find out the things that are journal, write down the things that you're good at.
Yes.
So you're good at something. Like if you're, you may have just lost your business, but hey, what were the things that you were really good at? You were really good at sales. You were really good at marketing, or you were really good at accounting and creating systems. Whatever it is, like figure out like what is the thing that I'm really good at, and then start speaking affirmations about that.
Right.
And
then there's a ton of them. Like you can just YouTube it. Like, hey, what affirmation should I say today? And it'll give you a bunch of, hey, I am powerful, I am strong, I am smart, I am beautiful. And I know it feels silly to say it, but it's something, I'm trying to remember the exact number. I think it's something like 80,000 conversations that you have a day, and almost 80% of them are in your head. So you're having all these conversations, but it's with you, and how you talk about you is ultimately how people are going to start seeing you and perceiving you.
Right.
And so that's the affirmations.
So the affirmation of finding the things that you're good at, and I feel like that what I would do is I'd be thankful for it. God, thank you that I'm, good at this. Thank you that I'm good at that. Thank you that I'm good at the other. And then the things that you're not good at, I think affirming affirmation for that is, Lord, I thank you I'm not an excellent reader, but I'm going to be an excellent reader.
Right.
I thank you, God, that I don't necessarily have a desire to, spend time with my wife, but God, I think you're giving me that desire you're placing in me. And then I started visioning out like what that looks like. Okay, well, I see my wife and I's relationship growing and doing better and getting stronger. And God, I thank you that I see us out on, a boat in the Caribbean, sailing around the world. And so I can start building it in my mind. And I think that's what you're talking about with affirmation.
Yeah, and so, and I that would actually be part of the visualization that I tell everybody about too. And so visualizing, what does it look like? So now I'm talking it, but now I'm visualizing it.
So Youngie Cho, have you ever heard of Youngie Cho?
I'm familiar with the name. I hadn't.
Okay. Youngie Cho was he wrote the Power of the Fourth Dimension. So it's basically a book on his relationship with the Holy Spirit and how it applies.
I didn't read
life.
it, but I know I have. I was told to put it on. It is on my list.
It is a great book. Again, it's one of those things that I would say would be like a foundational thing for me. But the Power of the Fourth Dimension, what he talks about is, before I read his book, let's say you were sick and your leg was hurt. I would go to the hospital and pray for your leg, and God heal your leg. That would be the thing. I might even throw a scripture in there. God, by your stripes we were healed. Thank you. But through reading his book, he started explaining like how your brain connects with words. Like if you look, there's a study that was done actually in China about a guy that put rice in a jar that was cooked, and he put rice in another jar that was cooked, and on this one jar he spoke negative things to it. You're ugly, you're horrible, you're stupid. The other one he spoke, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're amazing. One turned into rice, like fermented rice pudding. The other one turned into molded, nasty horribleness. And the moral of the story was like, it has a physical effect, what you're speaking to yourself. Not just what you think, and not just your self-talk, but what you're saying out loud. If somebody says, what are you going to do with your life, now that you've failed or now that you've lost everything or whatever, and you say, well, I don't have any hope. I'm a waste of time. Like, I don't have any way to go. Like, that's something your brain is listening. And it's like, okay, well, hey guys, we need to abandon ship. This guy's a waste. He doesn't have any future. There's no hope.
Yeah. And one that I tell people too. So what has been like my life verse is Psalms 30 verse 9. And it says, what good if I go down to Sheol, that will the rocks praise you? Who's going to, so and what profit is there down there to stay down there? Rise back up and make something of yourself. I think what most people don't realize about being an entrepreneur and even a leader in general is you're going to fail a whole lot more than you are going to win.
Right.
That they see, like I said, they see, hey, wow, he's got the big diesel truck, man. He's got it. What do I got to do to be there? So, well, come hang out with me.
Yeah.
My son's been following me around all week. They're about to get out of school, and he's just like, oh my goodness, Dad, I'm tired of they following you around until 7, 8 o'clock at night. 5 days in a row.
Well, I think that power of the spoken word, affirmations, pulling those affirmations into your life and actually speaking them out, not just reading them, but actually speak them out of your mouth.
You got to say them.
So whenever I pray for somebody now that has a bad leg and they're sitting in the hospital, I interview them. I say, hey, well, what could you do before? Like before your leg got hurt? Oh, man, I used to run marathons. I love running marathons. That was a great. Really? I mean, like, when's the last one you ran? I ran in Boston Marathon. That was my goal, is to come back to the Boston Marathon. Oh, that's great, man. So, like, how long you been running? And I interview them a little bit, and they think it's the weirdest thing. But then when I'm praying for them, I can say, God, I see Aaron's going to be in the next Boston Marathon. I see him strapping his shoes on. He's getting ready to get out of the hotel room and go to the field. I see him lining up at the edge of the field. Oh, I see, Lord, the sun's coming up over the trees. And so now in their mind, as I'm starting to pray for them, and I'm visualizing for them.
Yeah.
And I think being able to speak into people's lives and actually helping them to see a path forward is probably what I'm trying to do inside of what we're doing with the podcast and with my book and everything else. Is like, hey, there is a future. You just need to start speaking life over yourself, over your finances, over your family, and stop speaking death. Like when I was on the side of the road, with the 40-foot gooseneck broken down, the first thing I did when I got out was I said, God, thank you I didn't kill anybody. Because I could have. I had 25,000 pounds behind me. 25,000 pounds of wood. Thank you, God, that it didn't flip over. It should have. I went sideways with the 25,000 pounds of wood. Thank you, God, that I had a truck that could handle this. Thank you, God, that my trailer was able to handle it. Thank you. And so I started finding the things that I was grateful for. And I think that's what we're talking about with affirmation.
Yes.
It's like, hey, what can you be grateful for? Like, as you're sitting down right now in your living room or in your kitchen or whatever, and you've lost everything and you don't have any path forward, I think you need to stop and thank God that you have a kitchen to be sitting in, that you have the ability to be able to sit in a kitchen with running water and running electricity. Because you could be in Deep Slough, Zevenfontein, South Africa, where they don't have running water.
Right.
And they don't have electricity.
Right.
And you're living in a squatter village, putting paper towels around the side of it just to where you try to keep warm. That's not you. You live in a house. So start with that.
Right.
Thank you, God, I got a house. Are you talking? God, thank you that I have the ability to speak. I thank you, God, that I have ears that I can actually hear. Are you walking? Okay, hey, I got up this morning on my own 2 legs, and I walked to go to the front door. God, I thank you, I got legs. As you get through that thankfulness side of it, I feel like that you're going to see, like, the affirmations will come out of that.
Yes.
But first thing you have to do is, like, find something to be thankful for. Like, if you're alive, you have something to be thankful for. If you're breathing, you didn't wake up and go to the cancer ward. Your son's not in St. Jude. You got something to be thankful for. You got to find those things that you're thankful for, and then thanking God for those things, you start developing good affirmations and things you can start speaking of your own life. And I think that's the path, like, forward for people, is like to number one, be coachable. Number 2, start figuring out what you're thankful for, and have an attitude of gratitude about it. Number 3 is build the affirmations, the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
Thank God that you're good at those things. And then the things you're bad at. Hey, here's the things I'm bad at, but God, I see a time where I'm not going to be bad at that. Where I see a time where I'm going to be teaching people how to do financial, acumen, whereas, you may be struggling with finances. But I thank you, God, one day I'm going to be doing this,
Right. And then the other thing I'll add to that the people need to start doing is what are you listening to? So bring in positive audio, whether it's listening to sermons or positive, encouraging podcasts like this one.
Right.
Or the shameless
like
plug for mine, the Clark Connection podcast.
Yeah.
That is what goes, it's so powerful what you're listening to.
What are you putting in?
Yeah. Like, I don't have anything against contemporary music, but when I'm having a bad day, if I put on like K-Love or something like that, I know that, I'm listening to praise and worship music, it helps. That puts you in a better mood. Yeah. And so you got to find something positive to put in there.
I can tell you, like, even if you're just listening to classical music, like, I haven't really seen anybody get suicidal listening to Bach. Like, I'm just saying, it's like, like it's that music. You can literally play classical music to plants, and the plants will grow better. Like, it's just a craziest thing. And like, we know this, but yet we put all this junk into our own lives, listening to acid metal and, heavy, whatever we're listening to. For me, it can be even listening to Eric Clapton. It's just like your brain goes in a different place than you do whenever you put positive, encouraging music into your life. So,
right.
And also people. I think, like, you need to figure out who are the poisonous people around you. Because if you have poisonous people around you that are telling you, like Job's wife, you should just kill yourself. What are you even doing alive? Like,
right.
What do you need to get people that are speaking life around you. If you want to be able to move forward and get out of this junk that you're in, find people that encourage you. And I think that's really part of what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's having those people, like you said, and that's what we're having, that coach comes into play. Right. Having somebody, a mentor that you can go to And
mentors aren't easy to find. I can tell you, like, you have to pursue a mentor.
I was going to say they're not easy to find, but you have to be open and ready for it.
Right.
And so all the ones that I've had in my life, I wasn't like, I was open, like, hey, who else is out there? Who's going to come help me in this spot? And so for like one that was for me that kind of came into my life, which is what got me started on the Faith Racers ministry, that doing the motocross ministry, was Roy Jenkins. You know, he's since passed, but we called him the OG, the motocross minister in Louisiana, and he kind of got it started. But that Roy was somebody that I could talk to, and I wasn't looking for him. I mean, I was looking for a mentor, but I wasn't looking for him.
Right.
I didn't know I was looking for him. And it was cool because when we first met, like when I got introduced to him, like he gave me this big old hug and was like, "It's you." And I was like, "It's me? What do you mean it's me?" He's like, "I've seen your face for 4 years now. I've been praying for you for 4 years now that you're taking my spot." And I'm like, "Taking your spot? This is my first day here, man. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But I mean, he was so powerful and instrumental that somebody I could call and go, "Hey, this is not happening right. What's going on?" Well, when he passed, it was like, you know,
a gaping hole.
A hole. Well, then, you know, then my grandfather passed. I was the other big mentor. But, you know, and now that Andre has really stepped in and is that one of those mentors.
Well, I can tell you, like, if you're looking to find a mentor, it's really hard just to walk up to somebody and say, "Will you be my mentor?" It's like that the missing piece book where "Will you be my mother? Will you be my mother?" Like, I found my missing piece. Like, I'm just saying, it's like if you're looking to have a mentor or to be coached, and you can't afford it and you can't pay somebody to do it, what I recommend doing is finding somebody that is excellent in an area that you want to be excellent in.
Yes.
And then invite them for coffee or for lunch or whatever it is that they're into. They may be into golf or whatever. Well, you know, you're going to invest $150 to go play 2 rounds of golf, but invite them to go play golf and pay for it. And then you're going to find that time is actually well invested whenever you're putting it into, you know, pursuing a mentor. It may not work out to where they're like, "Hey, let me mentor you." But if you're absolutely getting the ability to be able to find them, to seek them, and to take the energy to go sit down with them and drink a cup of coffee. And when you go sit down and drink a cup of coffee, don't just go and say, "Will you be my mentor?" Go and say, "Hey, I want to know what it was like before you had success. What was the thing that catapulted you to success? And what's the one thing that you think I should never do, that you wish you'd never done?" I've asked that question since I was 8 years old to every person I can find with gray hair. And I can tell you, like, if you take that in, it'll grow you.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one that John talks about on all his fine. You may have to take them to lunch, but make sure you have it planned, what you're going to ask, what you're going to say. That way it's worth their time to show up, and they're going to show up when you're prepared. And the other one I'll tell them with that is there are so many just great mentors in books. I never got to meet Dale Carnegie, but I've read all of his books. I feel like I know Dale Carnegie. He's a mentor of mine. He's been gone before I even started that journey. But then I also feel like Moses is one of my mentors because I love reading about him in Exodus and all the way through Leviticus, you know, and what did he struggle and do? I never met Moses, but he was a pretty darn good leader and learned a lot of tough lessons.
Yeah, I think like the practical side of it is like find somebody that you can pursue.
Yes.
That you would like to emulate their life. And I'm going to encourage you, like the closer that you get to a leader, the more you're going to see the rewards. You're going to see the stuff that you're like, oh, I've been around some amazing leaders. And I can tell you, like Pastor Larry is somebody that was one of the reasons why I really respected him, is because getting in up close and personal with him, eating dinner at his house, having his kids go play golf, and stuff like that, like getting into his boat, I never saw, like there was areas that you could see where, like, you know, that the rest of the world wouldn't see, but he was the man in private that he was in public. And it's not like that with everybody. Like,
No.
You're not going to find that all the time. But I can tell you, like, if you find somebody that you respect, just realize that you're probably going to respect them in one area. You might not respect them in all. They may, you know, not be. They may be an amazing business acumen, but they've been married 14 times. You don't emulate their life on marriage.
Right.
Don't take any advice from them on marriage. But you can definitely sit down with them and be like, hey, what's one business thing you wish you would have done? What's one business thing you wouldn't have done?
Yeah,
You know,
no doubt. And you can definitely learn from that. It's always something that you can take and grow in all those areas. Yeah, I tell people that too. They don't just I don't want to just be your only coach. If I'm your only coach, man, are you really trying to get everything you can have? Because there's
what's the reason why they have a defensive line coach, an offensive line coach, a passing coach.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to coach for everything.
I mean, even if you want to go to a sport as small, like a team sport like basketball, where you would think, do you really need more than one coach? But you do. You need that shot coach. You need the defensive coach. You really need, if you're wanting to be elite at that level, you've got to have other people.
I was just laughing because I was thinking about poor Shaquille O'Neal's shot coach.
I don't know if he had one.
Yeah, he did. I remember watching an interview with him one time, and he said that he got to where he would just start throwing the basketball like a football at the basketball goal, because when he had a free throw, he was never going to make it. So he knew, like, if I sling it off the backboard and I ran up and dunked it, like, I'll make one. At least I'll make it. But yeah. Anyway, I greatly appreciate your time here, man. I definitely think it's awesome to hear your journey and hear what's going on with you. If people want to get connected with your podcast or with your coaching, what do they do?
So you can go to my website, coachaclark.com. You can reach out to me, Aaron, at coachaclark.com, or just on YouTube, search the Clark Connection Podcast, or you can call me, 225-274-6063.
Amen. All right. Well, I'm hoping we'll have a lot of people that will reach out to you, and I definitely appreciate having you on the show, man. It's great to see you.
I appreciate you inviting me.
All right.
That's it for this episode of The Tenacious Entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning in and being part of this journey. Are you an entrepreneur with a tenacious story? We want to hear from you. Visit our website, tenaciousentrepreneur.com, and click on the Tell My Story link. If you got something valuable from today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur. Keep pushing forward, and remember, the end is only the beginning. A new episode drops every Wednesday at 7:14 a.m. Until then, remember to stay humble, stay focused, and be tenacious.